Whoa, hello. How's everyone doing? DSP here, and welcome to Ask the King. This is the first episode of Ask the King of the year of 2015. It's the first episode of Ask the King that I've actually done in over 3 months. That's right, the last episode was actually way back when, in mid-October, and then I got so busy with all the new releases of the fall that I was just inundated with work and didn't really have a chance to do a lot of constant vlogs or anything like that. So I want to say welcome and thank you for being patient for the return of Ask the King. And I'm now seeing that my shirt that I'm wearing is way too dark, and I'm like blending in with the couch, which is kind of weird here that I'm seeing. But anyway, thank you. A lot has changed since back in October, including the website being rebooted. The new forums are now in place, and many of you posted up your questions. In fact, we had over 150 questions posted on the forums, which is great. What I've always said is the more the merrier. The more questions there are, the better chance there are for me to sift through them and pick the ones that I think are the best questions that I can answer, number one, more intelligently, and number two, more entertainingly. You know, if I know nothing of the subject, there's pretty much no chance that I'm going to have an intelligent answer, and that's why I say the more the merrier. Now, I also had Twitter and Facebook questions this week, or this month, excuse me. Unfortunately, we had some issues today. The Facebook notification did not post up, so unfortunately I apologize to all of those of you who follow me on Facebook and were waiting to ask questions. The bottom line is I've got a ton of questions. It's going to fill the whole show anyway, so regardless of the fact that I didn't get any Facebook questions in, I think we're going to cover most general topics that were like burning topics people wanted to hear, okay? So, alright, so first of all, I want to let everyone know that I am going to be doing this monthly starting now. I know that this past several months, the end of the year, was a very busy time with all these gameplay releases, and I was so busy playing 4 or 5 new games at once that a lot of the vlogging went to the wayside. However, starting right now, this is going to be a monthly basis, and in fact, the thread on the forums, thekingofhate.com, for next month's episode, which is going to be the last week of February, is already live, and you can already post up your questions for next month. So if I don't answer your question this month, or if I don't answer it in a full manner, you have follow-up questions, or if something that I talk about this month, wow, this is a good idea that I want to ask them next month, go post it up over on the forums, and we will do that. All right, we'll take a look at those next time. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, with all the questions. You can see tons and tons, 4 pages full of questions. And as you know, this show typically runs 90 minutes to 2 hours long. For YouTube, I break it up usually into 30-minute or so increments. For the stream, I take a few commercial breaks in between, say around every 30 minutes. So please be patient if you're watching on stream for those small commercial breaks. I do also want to say special thanks to Jackie Chin, who submitted that intro for Ask the King, which is awesome, and I'm going to be using it every Ask the King from now on. It's really cool. He's been doing those for streams and for all kinds of stuff, and it's very much appreciated, excuse me. If anyone else wants to take shots at doing new intros for shows, you can post it up on Twitter at TheyCallMeDSP, but in particular, I'd prefer if you posted it up on the website at thekingofhate.com in the fan art submission section so that I can have a look at it whenever I want to, and I have to try to find it in a Twitter feed, okay? Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, here we go with this month's questions. First question excuse me, well, here we go, from Atlas Telemon, and he asks, Phil, I would love for you to do a new video series of themed videos where you look at a game franchise as a whole per video, pick your specific gripes or best things out of it, and share your thoughts about past, present, and future. My first suggestion would be Zelda. So this is an interesting idea. It basically sounds like a retrospective series where what I would do is take my opinions on how this series of games evolved over time and talk about my favorite things about the series, the things I don't like. I like the idea. At the same time, it would have to be something that I have extended history with. So, for example, the first thing that he says is Zelda would actually not be a good example. And the reason it wouldn't be a good example is because I only played some of the original Zelda on NES. I never beat it. I played The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And then years and years and years later, I played Zelda Skyward Sword and Zelda Wind Waker, and that's it. I missed out on all that Nintendo 64 era of Zelda. I missed out on all of the handheld Zeldas that came out during the 2000s for like Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. I never played any of them, so for me to try to give you my perspective on the Zelda franchise would be like someone who only saw half of the Star Wars movies trying to do a full retrospective on the Star Wars movie series. So it would have to be probably something that I'm a little bit more informed on. So, for example, the Street Fighter series. Wow, I could do a huge series talking about every Street Fighter game, the changes in the gameplay, the changes in the characters, the changes in the plot line, how those games were received publicly, because I was there in person in arcades when these games were released publicly, and I could talk all about that stuff. That's a cool idea. That's the kind of cool and constructive idea that I appreciate. And I hope that if you have ideas like that, you'll continue to submit them to Ask the King and or on thekingofhate.com, where there are several places there now where people are putting up all their ideas and stuff for the future of my content. The only thing that I have to say about that, unfortunately, is it sounds like something like that would be a project where you really need to do a lot of time and research, not only on the games, but just to get the audio visuals together. I'd have to get video clips from every single game I'm going to talk about, music from every single game, artwork from every single game. It would take a ton of probably me talking like this, doing voiceovers, and also doing editing of all that stuff together. Is it a great idea? Absolutely. Is it something that I'm going to jump into immediately? I don't know. It's a good idea, though, and I'm thinking about it, especially starting maybe with like a Street Fighter retrospective series from my point of view, playing it in the arcades and stuff like that could be pretty neat. So, thanks very much for that suggestion. I'll keep it in mind. And if you guys think that that's a good idea of something that I could start doing in the year of 2015, let me know. Whether, again, comments on Twitter, comments on this video, etc. Let me know what you think. Okay? Next question. This one comes from Ladiesman2166, and he asks the following. He says, Phil, over the years you've gained some new viewers who probably don't know that you actually are selling merchandise on Cafepress.com. So my question to you is, will you let your viewers know about it, and why isn't there even a link to the store on your new website like there was on your old one quite some time ago? If you could answer this, I would appreciate it. Now, many of you literally might be hearing this for the first time and be saying, what the hell is he talking about? Phil has a merchandise store? Yes and no. All right, let me explain, because let's face it, I've made videos now for 6 years. 6 solid years, actually more than 6 years now, because it's now 2015. And I've had high highs, low lows, changes in my viewer base, etc. At one time, and we're talking probably 2009, 2010, there were a group of people who were so into the YouTube thing, right? They were like, I love Phil. I want to watch every video. I subscribe to every channel. I don't miss anything. I want to have merch of him. I want to have merch to give to my friends and stuff. I want to ask for merch for Christmas. Like, literally, I had no idea this would ever happen, but there was a massive demand for people asking me, Phil, are you ever going to sell merch? And that was never my intention. I was always like, why would I want to do that? Because I thought I was just here to put entertaining videos out for you. Who the hell would want merch? But people demanded it. And so at that point, I looked at different options. And keep in mind, this was long before I ever made $1 making gameplay videos or any kind of videos for YouTube. This was when it was still a hobby, right? So I said, I have no money to put into this to like make shirts or whatever. What could I do? And I found a service called Cafepress.com, where on that website you can actually upload logos and templates and stuff, and they have all this generic merch like shirts and hoodies, and hell, they even have underwear, but they also have mugs and glasses and water bottles and that kind of stuff, stickers, calendars, where you could take a logo and superimpose it on it and print it out and buy it from the website. Now, at the time, I was like, I don't think this is really going to take off or be anything special. And in addition, the website is incredibly expensive. What I mean by that is, like, to get a decent shirt, it's like over $20. And what you can do, what I have the ability to do on the website, is to adjust my profit margin. And I found that to make it realistic, like, oh, you're going to buy a Dark Side Phil t-shirt? Well, no one's going to buy one for more than 20 bucks. A typical t-shirt you buy is 20 bucks for something on it. So I made them all like 20 bucks price, which means I made like $1 per shirt, okay? So that website, Cafepress.com/DarksidePhil. Yes, it exists. I literally haven't updated it in like 3 years. No lies. I think it was like 2012 the last time I even looked at it. And I really haven't bothered with it because, number one, even when I was insanely popular on YouTube, it didn't have much of a demand. I think the most I ever made in a month was like $100 on that website, and that was like the busiest month ever. Number two, I'm not the kind of guy that likes to sit here and chill, right? You don't see me, oh, by the way, I'm drinking from the Dark Side Phil Stein that's available on Cafepress.com right now. You know, I could have done that. This Stein has literally been next to me every day since the Cafepress store launched in like 2009, 2010. Every day. But that's not the kind of person I am. I'm here to give you entertaining video content, not to sit here and sell you products. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with selling products. There's plenty of people who that's how they get their income. That's their supplementary income, or that's how they make their YouTube career work. But I've never been that kind of person. So for me, the Cafepress thing was, if it's there, it's there. And you can get it and if you want. But for me, it's not something I'm going to shill. I'm not going to push because, number one, I'm not about that. And number two, I don't make a lot of money out of it anyway. So why would I sit here and constantly be talking about buy shit on Cafepress when I make no money and they make a ton, right? So that's why I haven't mentioned it. That's why it's not featured on the new website. That's why it's not featured in my videos, you know? Just similarly how you don't see every video, oh, give it a thumbs up, click and subscribe. When have I ever said that? I never do, because I'm of the impression if you like the content, you're going to watch the content, and you're going to do that anyway. So if you like my videos, you'll probably find out that there's a Cafepress page and you'll buy the merch, and if you don't, it doesn't really bother me anyway. But I guess it's a time to throw this out there. Yeah, the Cafepress page still exists. I literally get like 2 sales a year because I don't talk about it. If you want to check it out, feel free. There's some cool stuff. Like I said, this Stein is pretty damn good. I've never had an issue with this Stein. I use this every day. So there's good merch on there. It's just up to you if you actually want to actually go over there and get it or not. I guess it's up to you. At this point, there's no one clamoring for me to make merchandise. You know what I mean? So there you go. Nice product placement. No, not really. It's generic Kroger brand seltzer. I don't think that Kroger is going to be sending me any money for that one. And I finished the seltzer anyway. All right, next question. This one is, oh, here we go. What are your thoughts on unnecessary hate on indie games such as Gone Home? People hated Gone Home publicly because of the fact that one of their characters is a lesbian. What are your thoughts on that? And that's from Master of Awesomeness. I actually disagree. I don't think that Gone Home was hated on because one of the main characters was a lesbian. Now, I could be wrong. I'm sure there are people who did it. There's always the exception. I'm sure there's people who did hate on the game. Oh, there's a lesbian character or a homosexual character in this game. I can't play that. That's taboo or whatever. That's not against my belief system. Okay, there will be those people. But what I think happened with Gone Home, now keep in mind, this is a game that I played in late 2013. It was a unique storm where the game was different because it was kind of a thriller mystery where you were just going through a house investigating for clues on where did these people go, why did these people vanish. There was kind of a tease of a supernatural element or even maybe a murder mystery in there. And then at the end, it's kind of a legitimate everyday explanation, and you're like, alright, it could have been scary, but it really wasn't. It was just your imagination or the hinting at these things playing tricks on you. There really was no supernatural element to the game. And yes, and it turns out that the main person in the game who you're trying to find out where is she, how did she vanish from this house, is a lesbian who ran off with her lover, basically, because I guess her parents didn't approve or whatever, and she ran off to have her own life together and be her own person, okay? 2 things happened when this game came out. You had a group of people who absolutely hated it because they said the gameplay is just you walking around a house reading notes. And where's the gameplay? There's no combat, there's no survival. The whole premise of the game that it's supernatural is bullshit because there's no supernatural stuff in the game, so the whole game itself is flawed. Okay? It's a lie. It's basically a cock tease just to get a unsatisfying ending. On the other side, you had people who liked the game and said, well, that's refreshing, it's different. You didn't need complex combat, you didn't need ridiculous kind of puzzle solving or whatever. It was just an interesting game where you explore this house. Yeah, there's some creepy elements to it. In fact, there were a few times during the game when I was afraid to go into like a dark room or a dark corridor because I didn't know what was, lurking in that next corridor. And it's more of a suspenseful game where you play tricks on yourself as you play it rather than anything else. And I liked it. I played this game. I did a full playthrough of it on DSP Gaming, and I actually liked it. But what happened was, and this is unfortunately what happens in this modern day and age, a lot of people picked up the game and basically said this game is awesome for the wrong reasons. What I mean is, I hate to say it, there was a feminist movement of people who were like, wow, well, this game is all about a strong, powerful woman who is, she's at home in her own sexuality, and people are persecuting her, and she makes the venture out to live her own life against the opposition or the opposing culture that doesn't like that. And this game is good because of its message, right? It's positive message. And anyone who hates this game is obviously anti-feminist, and we're bashing them because they're obviously against women. And that's not the case. I think what happened was you had a group of people who didn't like the game because it was just not fitting into the cookie cutter mold of what people might consider a game in this day and age. They thought, oh, it was an interactive movie, or oh, it was just walking around reading notes versus having more interactivity. Maybe the gameplay wasn't up to snuff at what they were looking for in a game. And this is the problem. So now you got the people who are the elitists on one side, who are all, oh, it's not good enough gameplay for us. You got the elitists on the other side, oh, well, if you don't like this game, it's because you're anti-woman. And this is how things get so over-dramatically blown out of proportion. If you look at Gone Home for what it is, it's a narrative game with exploration and minor puzzle solving in order to figure out vlogs and notes that let you figure out what is going on in this home. And that's what it is. It should be treated as kind of like a narrative thriller story. If you're looking for games with action and adventure and complex gameplay and insane amounts of gameplay, this is not your game. But that's not what they were going for, and that certainly they didn't sell it as that. They didn't sell it as a $60 retail release. This was a relatively, small release indie game that just kind of caught on because of maybe they had a message behind it that a certain movement liked. So I could see all the different perspectives. My perspective is I liked it. I personally, from my subjective perspective, I liked it because I like narrative-driven games. And at the end, even though it was kind of a cock tease and then a letdown at the end to find out there was no real supernatural element in the game, I was like, okay, but it was good. The ride was good. The ride to get there was actually pretty good. Other people are going to completely disagree because that's not what they look for in games, and it's all about your subjective take, okay? But to say that the game, number one, it was people hated on it because there's a lesbian in it, that's ridiculous. How dare you? All right, how dare you have that kind of a judgment about a game because there's a lesbian character in it, the game is bad. That's ridiculous. On the flip side, how dare you say that people may not dislike Gone Home because it has a lesbian or it's a feminist game and you're anti-feminist if you don't like the game. That's ridiculous too. So every single perspective, you know what I mean? There's going to be extremes either way. Personally, I liked the game. I think if you like narrative-driven games, you'll like the game, although pretty much everyone knows the plot of it now because it got spoiled during this feminist controversy. And so can you really have another game like Gone Home? Not unless you don't know the plot. So if you didn't play it, I can't really recommend it because now you already know what's going on in the game. Okay. Next question. Now, this is a long one, so give me a moment to read the whole question. This one's from Kev Factor, okay? He says, hey, Phil. So I've been working on my AS in comm design. I believe that's a associate's degree or the equivalent. I don't know where he lives. I'm decent on the production side, but I've got a ways to go for creative stuff. I had a teacher last semester tell me to never work for free, so I'm curious on your take on this. The question is mostly related to big YouTubers and streamers always getting professional packages for free. Stuff that I can tell took someone a lot of hours or training to produce. Admittedly, a lot of the fan art makes me cringe, but some stuff like the topography in your layouts, the Obama-style avatar... Oh, Obama-style avatar. My freaking printer had a little splurge of ink there. Or even the Mr. Fuck It pic that you've been using recently in your vlogs. I know that this is made by people who know their stuff. So the question is, do you feel that bigger broadcasters all around take this work for granted, or do you feel that it's more of a rite of passage and a form of advertising for a graphic designer to get good work shown on a big channel such as yours? Thanks for taking the time for this question, and I hope it didn't come off as offensive. Thanks. First of all, no, that's not offensive. That's a completely legit question. Don't ever feel like you're asking me a question for Ask the King or anything like that that's going to be offensive. I welcome these kind of questions, okay? So, basically what Kev Factor is saying is this. I've seen in Phil's content and other people's content, high-quality stuff, right? And do you think that it makes sense for someone who's a graphic designer to get that high-quality stuff out there for free? Or should they, like he said, his teacher said never work for free, all right? First of all, I'm going to tell you right now that teacher's an idiot. I'm sorry to say that. That teacher's a complete idiot. Because most people who get into something and become popular for it probably did it for free or for the love of it before they ever got into doing it professionally. I made gameplay videos on YouTube for 2 years before I ever made a penny doing it, okay? I played Street Fighter for how long competitively before I finally got to a level where I started winning and I got money for it. So that statement is completely asinine. It sounds like that's some elitist douchebag who thinks that his work is so great that he should never ever have anyone have it for free. That's not going to work, especially in this day and age. If you're going to, say, a university or college, chances are to get your foot in the door of a major firm or a major company or that does whatever you want to do professionally, you're going to have to do internships where you're going to be working for free or partially for free at least in order to get affiliated with that company. And that was one thing that I never had the opportunity to do when I was younger, because I didn't have any money. I said, I can't work for free. I need money to pay my bills. How can I pay my bills, pay my tuition if I'm doing an internship for free and I have no income? And that's part of the reason why I never got into, say, the financial field professionally, which is what I have a degree in. Okay? So I completely disagree with that teacher. If I can't answer the question because I've never, for example, made artwork and submitted it to someone or whatever, right? I couldn't answer the question of why people do it. I would say I have to think that, number one, people love the thrill that they're going to make something and then it's going to be seen publicly by many people. Now, sure, you can have your own DeviantArt account and you can make your own artwork and put it up there, but it doesn't mean that anyone's going to care what the hell it is, right? And I actually had people, before I was doing live streaming, before I was doing these montages of fan art, there were people who would submit fan art to me, but I never had a means to really distribute it. Sometimes if someone made a cool video or a cool piece of fan art back on the old YouTube layout, which used to have the comments section, I would post it up as a favorite publicly and people would be able to see it. Wow, Phil favorited this piece of art, or he favorited this video, and now people would go check it out and they would get exposure. But when that went away many, many years ago, I think that was like 2010 or 2011 when that went away, there was really no way to share this kind of stuff. And now that I have these montages that I'm doing via live streams and stuff, now you can see that publicly and people are getting more exposure, all right? Now, the bottom line is that, I can't answer it truthfully, but think about if you're someone, for example, he brings up the Mr. Fuck It picture, and I believe that was made by Dark Maggot. Dark Maggot is someone who for the past several months has been making some really top-notch artwork for me when they have time. From time to time, they work on this and they'll submit a few things on the forums, and I use them, whether it's for a commercial break, whether it's during a montage, during a stream. I would at least hope that by putting that out there, that it gives that person some exposure, right? So if you were to say, oh, well, where's your resume? Well, here it is. Yeah, but what have you done that people seen or liked? Oh, well, here's a vlog with 10,000 views, you know, that has this in it, and 10,000 people saw it, and a lot of people gave positive feedback about it. Oh, okay. And that hopefully gives it exposure, or at least, at the very least, here's the way that I would see it if I were one of these artists. If I just post something on DeviantArt, what are the chances that it's going to get any kind of traction, or anyone's going to see it or comment or even give you feedback? If you put one of your pieces of artwork into one of my videos or anyone's video or stream, you're guaranteed to get direct and instant feedback from those watching that video or stream. You know they're going to comment about it in the stream chat, on the comments of the video, and you're going to get direct feedback. So whether they say it's the best picture they've ever seen or that's a stinky piece of shit, at least you get some feedback. The worst thing that you could do is have something creative that you want to share with people and you don't have the means to share it, and you don't have a means to get any productive feedback so that you can improve. That's one of the biggest things for anyone who's artistic or anyone who's creative. One of the biggest fears is that your vision never gets seen and never gets any kind of criticism to improve, and what was the point of doing it, right? So at least, you know, when I say this, when I'm saying this stuff, when I put stuff into, say, for example, a video or whatever, I'm hoping that at least I'm giving some exposure to the people who are doing it. Hopefully it helps them out in the long run. I mean, keep in mind, there are people who were doing music montages and stuff who got hugely popular on YouTube because of that, and then I haven't heard from them since. So they moved on probably with their lives, and who knows if they moved on to do that stuff professionally. I have no clue. But whatever, it is what it is, right? And I'm very happy for any fan art or any kind of intro montage. For example, we just showed you, Jackie Chin just did that intro for Ask the King. That was awesome, and then we're going to use that on every episode now, and that's awesome. It makes it look more professional, and hopefully it gives him a little bit of exposure too, and he feels good about putting some awesome quality work into helping me out. So it goes hand in hand, you know what I mean? Okay. All right, next question is, hey Phil, as you use both methods, do you think the future of Let's Plays or gameplay videos lie on YouTube or other video sites that have on-demand video, or in live streaming? Also, how do you think the live stream payment model could be improved to make it more sustainable for people who don't rely on subs and donation shoutouts? That question is from Just a Banana. Now, this is a hot topic because I've been kind of at the forefront of what's going on with this right now, being that I started out on YouTube in 2008, right? I always just did YouTube on-demand video. And then in 2013, I decided to adopt live streaming and direct capture, which changed my business model because now I have a portion of an audience that always tunes into my stuff live streaming, while I have a separate portion of that audience that tunes in on demand on YouTube, and it creates an interesting dichotomy, all right? He asks, what's the future? And the answer that I have for you is, I don't know, because I don't know what is the commonly accepted model. Is it the person who's playing offline with no live interaction and no live content like I used to do on YouTube? You're just basically playing the game of your own accord, just like you were sitting in your own room playing the game? Is it the live interaction of a live stream where as you're playing, people are constantly giving you tips or giving comments or laughing or joking about what's going on, and a live streamer is reading that chat and directly reacting, you know what I mean, to what's going on the stream? It's a different thing. I've definitely seen that when I was doing live streaming, that people said, well, Phil, your content seems different now because you'll be playing a game and all of a sudden you'll get a tip from the stream chat and you'll go check that out, and before you would never would have found that out in the game. And it's not really the cold playthrough anymore that you used to do because you're getting tips and stuff. On the flip side of that, many people have complained over the years that, Phil, your model is outdated. Doing cold playthroughs is not what anyone wants anymore. It's not popular on YouTube because you have all these fails that are constantly in your playthroughs. You've got entire parts of your playthrough where you can't get past a certain point, and we'd rather have you get the help from the stream chat and get past it and continue to succeed in the game and see the rest of it rather than just fail repeatedly on the same part. And that's the problem with me. It's hard for me to answer this question because I've seen both sides of the fence, and I think I have viewers and fans that are out of both parties. You know what I mean? So people want the raw stuff, and they're mad that it kind of moved a little bit away from it in the past 2 years. Other people don't want the raw stuff anymore. They want people with interaction on the stream. They want that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure, right? What's the best? What's the actual best option? And that's his question. The answer is, I don't know, okay? Now, to continue on, his second question, well, what could Twitch do to make it more sustainable for people on Twitch to do gameplay stuff on a live stream, but not have to constantly be begging for subs and donations? I wish I had the answer for you, because unfortunately Twitch has moved away from anything else and is basically saying, and I'm not kidding you, because by the way, and I should, full disclosure here, I still get the emails from Twitch. Even though I left Twitch in November and I'm done, I'm not part of their partner program anymore, I shut down my channel, they still have me on the mailing list. And I swear to you, at least once every couple of weeks, oh, here's a new feature on Twitch where you can sell Amazon products and make money. Here's a new feature on Twitch where we made a partnership and you can sell t-shirts. Here's a new feature on Twitch where you can sell. And I'm thinking to myself, instead of focusing on selling stuff, which is not the purpose of a gameplay stream, why don't they improve the website so that these gamers can make money gaming, which is what they probably want to do or should want to do, instead of being a shill all the time? Why don't you increase the quality of the stream so that more people could do high quality streaming and they attract more people, and then have more profitable ads that maybe you can run that are pertinent ads to what's going on the stream, instead of, oh, by the way, here's a t-shirt, buy it for $45 or whatever the ridiculously overpriced thing is to make a profit. It's ridiculous, and it seems that Twitch has completely turned their website, in the course of the 2 years that I was there, turned their website from this is about gamers for gamers, it's about the highest quality gameplay streams, it's about having fun, and turn that into, well, every stream should now be just interactively asking for subs, thanking subs, asking for donations, plugging people who gave you donations, selling t-shirts, and selling Amazon merch. What the hell? You know what I mean? Like, that's not the way to make your business profitable, because that ruins the quality of your business. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm happy that I'm not there anymore, because I found myself more and more distracted on, oh, is it time for a break? Oh, is it time to run ads? Because that was the only way that I could make any money doing it. At least now streaming on YouTube, I get credit for your views, and it's just like doing the video offline. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter whether you're watching it live or you watch it on demand later, I get credit for it. So I think really the only reason that people aren't doing this on YouTube is because YouTube, you need to have a partnership with someone else that's going to pay you whatever. With Twitch, it's easy. You sign up for the partnership program, boom, you can immediately get subs and you can start making money. It's a little bit easier over there. And let's face it, Twitch in the past few years has become the go-to place for live streaming gameplay. Now today things are changing. You got Hitbox, you got MLG, you got some serious competition that's now stepping up to the plate for Twitch. It'll be interesting to see in the next few years what happens. But I really do see a dichotomy. You've got the people who've been watching gameplay on YouTube that's kind of like the non-interactive gameplay, and there's that huge audience. And then you've got this new emerging audience of people who want to have interactivity with the streamer, and that's really what's going on Twitch. How do you make money doing the interactive model and not have to be completely shilling the entire time you're on the stream? That's something that Twitch needs to figure out and has not successfully figured out at this point. And I don't like that. You know, I like the fact that now when I'm streaming, oh no, I can play for an hour straight and not have to take a break because I'm not worried about running a commercial break, right? You know, it's uninterrupted. It's me doing it at my pace rather than the pace of, oh, I have to stop to run a commercial. Oh, I have to stop to shill. I like that. So we'll see what happens in the future. Will Twitch and the streaming become the forefront of gameplay on the internet in the future? Will YouTube remain the leader because it still is the leader right now? I don't know, but we're going to have to see. And I hope that Twitch can find another way to make money, because right now I don't like that model. I think it's terrible. Okay. Okay, next question is from Savage Today, and quite honestly, you're going to find a few questions on this episode of Ask the King are going to be a tad bit outdated, simply because a lot of these questions were asked months ago and were just brought over to the new forum because I haven't done an episode of Ask the King in 3 months, so I apologize if some of these seem dated, but this is a good question. Savage Today says, hey Phil, with the new Resident Evil remastered game coming out, and of course I've already played it, so that's why it's outdated, would you like to see a remastered version of the original Silent Hill game? Bring back real survival horror. Yeah. Quite honestly, I would love to see the Silent Hill original trilogy be remastered in HD. Now keep in mind, we had that, but not really. What we had was they kind of redid the games in HD, but they were buggy, they had frame rate issues, they had performance issues, and they weren't very good overall from what people said from the originals. How about a modern day remake like Resident Evil HD Remake? It's 1080p, gorgeous new graphics and things in it, new content that's added into the games that make it more complete. I would absolutely love that. But more so than that, I've actually found that I really like these survival horror games. And I don't know if it's becoming kind of my thing, because I think previously my thing used to be, oh, Phil plays Street Fighter. And it would be me playing Street Fighter like crazy and raging and swearing at my opponents or whatever, and that was the fad that got me popular back in 2009 and 2010, right? And then after that it was, oh, Phil's the guy who does raw playthroughs of all the new games and beats them quickly. And that was like that for a couple years, right? And now it's kind of like, well, what's Phil's specialty? Because he doesn't particularly do those things necessarily as much anymore. And I think now it's like, I think people really like my survival horror playthroughs. I think that when I do a survival horror game, I do it in a different way that other people do it. And let's face it, there's plenty of people out there who play survival horror games and only do it for the fact that they're going to scream or act like they're scared on camera, and people love to see people act like little scared girls. And that's not what I do it for. I do it to enjoy the game, to try to figure it out. I like watching a good horror movie or a good survival horror game and trying to figure stuff out in the game mechanics, and yeah, there's cheap deaths and things, but at the same time that adds to the game. I love the Resident Evil series, even though recently I played all 3 of the original Resident Evils, and I think Resident Evil 3 kind of wasn't as good as the other 2. I appreciate them all, and I loved playing them, and I'm glad that I did play them, even though I didn't necessarily do amazing, great runs at those games. I think that when I played the Silent Hill games, people appreciated it and said, wow, this was a lot of fun. Phil playing it, and Phil's not necessarily the kind of guy that gets scared, so it's actually, some people have actually told me, Phil, you played these survival horror games, and you're the first person we've ever been able to watch play them. In addition to that, we never could play them by ourselves, and now we can, because we saw someone go through it. We're not so scared of them anymore. And, understandably, there's going to be people like that. I think that the way I approach these games is much different than other people, and that's kind of a unique thing. I would love it if I could play more of them. The problem is a lot of these games from that era, say the Clock Towers that were on PS1 and PS2, I'm trying to think, because there's like 2 or 3 series that people have been asking me to play for a while, but they never got re-released. And because they're not re-released and they're not digitally released on PSN, I can't play them. They're too rare, And I definitely like that kind of game, and I'm looking to play more of them in the future. So, would I love to see the original Silent Hill and maybe the other ones be remade in full HD, better visuals, better voice acting, better everything? Absolutely. I hate to say it, more so than that, why the hell can't they just make another one, Why can't they make a Silent Hill game that plays like the original Silent Hill games but looks fucking awesome and has crazy atmospheric scares and stuff? I would love that. I mean, just this past year, we had a game like Alien Isolation. That was almost like traditional survival horror in a lot of ways, and I loved that. That's the kind of game I think that I thrive on, and people really enjoy watching me play, and that's what I want to play. So, yes, re-release Silent Hill, please, in HD. Yes, please do the whole trilogy. Give it a big to-do. And I'm actually looking forward to playing more survival horror games in the future, which I'll probably be doing during downtime and stuff. Okay. Let's do one more question, then we'll take a quick break, because I have been going for almost a half hour now. Actually, I think I've been going over a half hour now. This one's from James M. 2000. He says, Phil, would you ever consider doing playthroughs on portable devices, such as an iPad or an iPhone, as there are decent games such as Asphalt 8, Nova 3, and Modern Combat 5 Blackout? Now, first of all, Modern Combat 5 Blackout, here's the thing about mobile games. I have the ability to capture, because guess what? I bought the little cord or whatever you needed to attach to an iPad or an iPhone to capture video, and I was seriously considering a few months ago doing walkthrough videos of the mobile games that I were playing on those devices. Now, since then, I got so busy with the new releases and whatever, I didn't have a chance to do it, and I don't even play two games that I were playing hard. I was playing Injustice for almost a year and a half, and I was playing WWE Supercard for like 6 straight months, and I've quit both of them completely cold turkey. I just don't like them anymore. So in that regard, no, I mean, I had a reason to do it. I don't even play the games anymore because I really think that they got ruined. For a new game, yeah, like for example, there's a new game called WWE Immortals that plays exactly like the Injustice app with WWE characters. Could I consider doing like a walkthrough of that? Yes. Here's the problem though with most mobile games. Just like I showed you guys a few months ago on Ask the King, they're not meant to have narrative or story or anything like that. Most of them are meant for you to do this, or this. In the case of Immortals, it's more like this, or tap like this, to do fighting. And you play it for a few minutes, and that's it. If you want to continue to play, or if you want to unlock the best stuff, you have to pay for it, and you end up dumping massive money into these games, and that's their business model. Not that it's a riveting story, not that it's anything that you would want to watch a playthrough of, but that people get addicted to the gameplay and want to keep playing, and you have to dump tons of money in to keep winning. Now, if there were mobile games that were, wow, this game is an insane RPG with crazy-ass story arc and stuff, oh, wow, there's actually a good, action-adventure game on an iPhone that people might want to see a playthrough of. But I don't think that's the case right now. I think that those games might be coming. That since this mobile market is becoming one of the biggest markets for gaming quickly, by the way, most people don't realize this is becoming one of the largest markets for video games. Forget consoles, forget PC, because everyone has one of these now. Everyone can play these games on their phone, so what do you need a console for? So if they could make a game that has 8 hours of riveting gameplay and story that you could play with a touchscreen, I would do a playthrough of it. I could do it right now. I have the equipment, but I haven't found anything worthwhile really doing. Now, I'm sure now people will immediately start recommending, Phil, but what about this and this? And yes, I do realize there are mobile ports of games that have been good. I'd rather play the real game rather than the mobile port on my phone. You know what I mean? So, would I ever consider, if real, dedicated, mature, adult-themed, interesting, riveting, longer games on a phone, doing a playthrough would be warranted, I would consider doing it. Right now, I don't think that exists right now. Okay? I think that we'll get there, especially if this platform continues to be one of the biggest money-making platforms there are for games. I think we'll get there. Right now, we're not there yet. Okay? Alright. So, that is it for part 1 of Ask the King, everyone. I want to thank you for being here, whether you're live on stream or watching this on YouTube. If you are on stream, we're going to take a short commercial break. It won't be longer than 5 or 10 minutes. Keep in mind, I'm already behind. I need to keep moving, so it probably won't be too long of a break. If you're watching this on YouTube, this video will end, but check out parts 2 and 3, which will be coming up shortly here, okay? Thanks, everyone. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.